Have you ever found yourself caught in a relentless loop of anxious thoughts, worried about the future, haunted by past mistakes, or judging yourself mercilessly for every perceived flaw? Anxiety can feel like an inescapable prison, one where harsh self-criticism and racing worries amplify each other. But imagine discovering an approach that not only quiets the noise, but also transforms it into an opportunity for kindness toward yourself. That's where Buddhist wisdom steps in. Buddhism, an ancient tradition spanning over 2,500 years, offers powerful strategies for calming inner turmoil, rooted in mindfulness and compassion. If you're seeking a practical, spiritually infused way to handle anxiety and replace self-judgment with gentle acceptance, you're in the right place. Today, we'll explore how Buddhist teachings address the root of anxious suffering and guide us towards self-compassion, freeing us from the chains of internal strife. Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, was born a prince in ancient India, around the 5th or 6th century BCE. Despite his lavish upbringing, he saw suffering, illness, old age, death, and realized no amount of wealth could shield him from life's pains. He left his palace, embarked on a spiritual quest, and after years of strict asceticism and deep meditation, he attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. His teachings, summarized in the Four Noble Truths, center on recognizing suffering, dukkha, arises from craving or aversion, and that liberation is possible through the Eightfold Path, a balanced approach of ethical living, mental discipline, and insight. A key aspect of Buddhism is the emphasis on impermanence, anicca. Everything, including our feelings and circumstances, is constantly changing. This fluid nature can unsettle us if we cling to stability, but it can also free us once we embrace change as normal. When it comes to anxiety, Buddhism encourages practicing mindfulness, present moment awareness, and compassion for self and others, diffusing the mental storms that keep us trapped in cycles of fear and self-blame. Anxiety often arises when we fear losing control or face uncertainty about the future. Buddhism sees this as a result of attachment, wanting life to conform to our wishes, and aversion, pushing away what we dislike or dread. In both cases, we're resisting the present reality. We cling to certain outcomes or fear potential threats, fueling mental agitation. Add to that self-criticism, the harsh voice judging us for feeling anxious or for not being good enough. This inner monologue amplifies worry, turning anxiety into shame. Buddhism's central insight is that these mental narratives are neither permanent nor truly reflective of who we are. Like clouds in the sky, anxious and self-critical thoughts come and go. When we stop identifying with them, recognizing them as transient mental events, we open space for acceptance and peace. Mindfulness is the practice of paying gentle, non-judgmental attention to whatever arises in the present moment, be it a physical sensation, an emotion, or a thought. By observing anxiety instead of becoming entangled in it, we weaken its grip. Instead of thinking, "I'm anxious," we notice anxiety is present right now. That subtle shift reduces identification with the feeling. Impermanence, anicca, further soothes anxious spirals. When we truly realize that no mental state endures forever, it's easier to endure moments of fear. Anxiety becomes a passing phenomenon, not a fixed condition. This perspective encourages us to open to discomfort rather than panic and resist. With mindful awareness, we see anxious thoughts crest and subside, much like waves returning to the ocean. Observation over reaction. Instead of battling anxiety, we watch it. This dissipates reactivity and lessens worry about it getting worse. Acceptance of change. We accept that emotional states shift. Anxiety surges, then recedes. Recognizing this fosters calm resilience. In daily life, mindfulness might look like taking 3 slow breaths whenever fear tightens your chest, acknowledging the tension without condemnation, and then letting the sensation pass. One of Buddhism's most profound contributions to handling anxiety is self-compassion. the willingness to treat ourselves as kindly as we would a dear friend. Where anxiety and self-judgment isolate us in harsh critique, metta, loving kindness practice, encourages a warm-hearted attitude toward our own suffering. Loving kindness meditation often begins with silently repeating phrases of goodwill. May I be happy, may I be peaceful, may I be free from suffering. Over time, we extend these wishes to others. This can transform internal hostility or self-blame into a gentler, more supportive relationship with ourselves. Instead of scolding yourself for feeling anxious, you acknowledge your pain. I see that I'm suffering. May I be kind to myself in this moment. Such self-compassion dissolves the shame fueling anxiety. When we realize we're not alone in feeling anxious, everyone experiences worry, vulnerability, and mistakes. Our hearts open. We lessen the sense of isolation and develop empathy for our own struggles, ironically making it easier to cope and grow. Two modern scenarios show how Buddhist insights can drastically change our experience of anxiety. The overworked professional. Joanna is an ambitious project manager, always on edge about deadlines and client demands. She typically responds with late-night frantic emails, fueled by panic. After learning about mindfulness, Joanna experiments with pausing for a few breaths when anxiety hits, labeling her stress. This is worry about the client's feedback. She also practices loving kindness daily, wishing herself and her coworkers peace and well-being. Gradually, she notices she's calmer, making fewer mistakes, and becoming more supportive of her colleagues. Anxiety still arises, but it doesn't hijack her entire day. The self-critical student. A college student named Maria struggles with test anxiety, convinced she's never good enough. Through metta meditation, she begins repeating phrases like, "May I be kind to myself? May I accept myself just as I am?" At first, it feels awkward, but over time, she sees her negative thoughts less as truths and more as passing mental chatter. She no longer berates herself after a less-than-perfect score, but focuses on celebrating incremental improvements. Her anxiety gradually softens into a willingness to learn, not a fear of failure. In both cases, acceptance and compassion turn worry into a milder, more workable challenge. Let's outline some concrete Buddhist-inspired strategies for anxiety and self-judgment. 1. Mindful breathing. Set aside a few minutes daily to focus on your breath. Notice the inhale, the exhale, and the pauses. If worries surface, gently label them thinking and return to the breath. 2. RAIN technique. Popularized in modern mindfulness circles, RAIN stands for recognize, allow, investigate, nurture. When anxiety strikes, you first recognize the feeling, allow it to be there without pushing it away, investigate its qualities, body sensations, triggers, and nurture yourself with compassion or reassurance. 3. Loving kindness, metta, meditation. Sit quietly, repeating phrases like, "May I be happy, may I be safe, may I be free from suffering." Over time, expand these wishes to loved ones, acquaintances, difficult people, and all beings. This practice fosters empathy, reducing the harsh voice of self-criticism. 4. Impermanence reflection. Whenever intense worry grips you, remind yourself, this is not permanent. Observe the wave-like nature of thoughts and sensations, noticing how they shift even as you pay attention. 5. Self-compassion break. If self-blame flares up, mentally pause and say, "This is a moment of suffering. Suffering is part of life. May I be kind to myself in this moment." This short circuit interrupts negative self-talk. In daily practice, these steps build resilience, helping you respond rather than react to anxious triggers. A significant portion of anxiety is fear of uncertainty, the what-if scenarios that loom large in our minds. Buddhist teachings remind us everything is anicca, impermanent, and anatta, not inherently self. The future is always uncertain, but by living mindfully in the present, we reclaim energy otherwise lost to worry about hypothetical outcomes. Accepting not knowing. Instead of resisting or trying to control the unknown, Buddhism encourages bowing to life's mystery. This reduces fear because we shift from demanding security to embracing curiosity. Grounding in the now. Anxiety typically drags us into a potential future catastrophe. A mindful anchor, like the breath or a body scan, pulls us back, reminding us that in this moment, we are okay. This doesn't mean ignoring planning or caution, but rather not letting future possibilities paralyze our present peace. The wise approach is to act responsibly now, while acknowledging that life rarely follows a perfect script. Buddhist teachings also highlight compassion outwardly. When anxious, we can become self-absorbed, worried about our image or unmet standards. Turning that focus outward, wishing happiness and relief for others, loosens the grip of our personal fears. Social anxiety. If you're dreading a social event, try imagining you're there to offer kindness instead of seeking validation. This compassionate shift dissolves self-focus, making interactions more natural. Isolation. Anxiety can lead us to withdraw, but meeting others' struggles with understanding fosters connection. Realizing everyone battles insecurities fosters empathy, reducing the burden of feeling uniquely flawed. When we realize all beings want happiness and fear suffering, our hearts warm up. Compassion becomes a balm to isolation and anxious rumination, bridging the gap between ourselves and others. Buddhist philosophy doesn't promise an anxiety-free existence, but it offers tools to radically reduce suffering. Present moment mindfulness, acceptance of impermanence, and loving kindness toward ourselves and all beings. By seeing anxious thoughts as transient, refusing to identify with them, and approaching them with kindness, we dismantle the reflex of panic and self-criticism. This path transforms anxiety into an occasion for awareness, a signal that we may be clinging to illusions of control or a fixed self-image. Freed from illusions, we can respond with curiosity and gentleness. Over time, the practice of mindful observation, compassion meditations, and acceptance fosters a stable emotional ground. We no longer fear our own mind, but approach it like a friend in need of patience and support. As you integrate these Buddhist insights into daily life, you'll discover that anxiety, once a fierce enemy, can become an ally, an alarm nudging you to recenter, embrace your vulnerability, and respond with tender self-compassion. The teachings of the Buddha remind us we're never truly alone in our struggles. All beings experience fear. By extending warmth toward our own pain and empathizing with others' burdens, we awaken from the nightmare of self-judgment into a gentler, freer existence. Thank you for joining me on this journey.